Here's a shocking reality check. 4 NHL franchises that were supposed to dominate last season instead became cautionary tales of how quickly championship dreams can turn into playoff nightmares. The New York Rangers, Boston Bruins, Nashville Predators, and Vancouver Canucks all crashed and burned spectacularly, missing the postseason entirely after sky-high expectations. But here's where it gets controversial. Not all of these teams have equal chances of bouncing back. And the rankings might surprise you. Let's dive into which franchise has the best shot at redemption and which one might be headed for an even deeper spiral. Ranking the comeback kings, who's most likely to return to playoff glory? 1. New York Rangers, the fallen giants with the brightest future. Call it bold, but the Rangers deserve the top spot in this comeback conversation. And here's why that might ruffle some feathers. Yes, they became just the 4th team in NHL history to miss the playoffs after capturing the President's Trophy. A statistic so embarrassing, it practically writes itself into hockey infamy. But here's what most analysts are missing. The Rangers' collapse wasn't purely about talent deterioration. Their season unraveled due to a toxic cocktail of clubhouse dysfunction and questionable management decisions that created an atmosphere so poisonous it would have derailed even the most talented rosters. The game changer? General Manager Chris Drury appears to have learned from his heavy-handed approach that nearly destroyed team chemistry. Reports suggest he's mended relationships with key players and adopted a more collaborative leadership style. Add Mike Sullivan to the mix, a coach who's guided teams to 2 Stanley Cup victories, and you've got a recipe for dramatic improvement. The Rangers didn't just sit idle during the offseason either. They addressed their most glaring weakness by securing Vladislav Gavrikov, a shutdown defenseman whose 7-year, $49 million contract signals serious commitment to defensive stability. This move alone could transform their entire defensive structure. The core talent remains largely intact, featuring elite players like Mika Zibanejad, Adam Fox, Alexis Lafreniere, and Igor Shesterkin, all hungry for redemption. JT Miller's presence from day one of training camp adds veteran leadership, while Will Kyle appears poised for a breakout campaign. The injection of young talent, including prospect Gabe Thoreau, rookie Scott Morrow, and forwards Brennan Offman and Brett Berard, creates healthy internal competition. Here's the controversial take. The Rangers' 2023-24 success wasn't a fluke, and last season's disaster was the aberration. Expect them to find that sweet spot between those extremes and secure a top 8 Eastern Conference position. 2. Vancouver Canucks, the drama-filled wildcard. Talk about a franchise that knows how to create headlines for all the wrong reasons. The Canucks season imploded in spectacular fashion, largely due to a soap opera-level feud between JT Miller and Elias Pettersson that became so toxic, it forced management to publicly declare one star had to go. But here's where things get interesting, and this is the part most people miss. Vancouver's problems weren't just about locker room drama. They were decimated by injuries to crucial players, including Thatcher Demko, Quinn Hughes, and Pettersson himself. When your number 1 goalie, star defenseman, and top forward are all sidelined for extended periods, even the most harmonious teams struggle. The coaching change from Rick Tocchet to Adam Foote brings a fresh perspective, though some question whether Foote has the experience to handle this level of expectation. The addition of Evander Kane, a player known for his gritty style and contract-year motivation, could provide the edge they desperately need. Here's the controversial reality. The Canucks have made the playoffs just twice in the past decade, making their 2023-24 Pacific Division title look more like a fortunate anomaly than sustainable success. With Hughes trade rumors swirling, another major distraction could derail any comeback hopes. Still, if they can stay healthy and maintain focus, Vancouver possesses enough talent to compete for a Western Conference playoff spot. 3. Nashville Predators, the all-in gamble that backfired. Remember when the Predators were supposed to be Stanley Cup contenders? Their aggressive pursuit of Steven Stamkos, Jonathan Marchessault, and Brady Shea looked brilliant on paper, but turned into one of the most expensive failures in recent NHL history. The harsh truth? Every single marquee signing underperformed dramatically. Stamkos couldn't recapture his Tampa Bay magic, Marchessault struggled to adapt to his new environment, and Shea failed to provide the defensive stability Nashville desperately needed. Meanwhile, established stars Philip Forsberg and Ryan O'Reilly experienced career-low seasons that left fans scratching their heads. Perhaps most concerning was Juuse Saros's shocking decline between the pipes and Captain Roman Josi's heart condition diagnosis, which limited him to just 53 games and raises legitimate questions about his long-term availability. The Predators' free fall to 30th overall in league standings, coupled with a historically bad -60 goal differential, exposed fundamental flaws that go beyond simple bad luck. While they've added defensive help in Nick Hague and Nick Perbix, and coach Andrew Brunette gets another chance to prove himself, the Western Conference competition is absolutely brutal. Here's the uncomfortable question. Was Nashville's aggressive spending spree a desperate attempt to maximize an aging core's final window, or a strategic move that just needs more time to develop? 4. Boston Bruins. The mighty have fallen. This ranking might spark the most debate. But hear me out. The Bruins represent the steepest fall from grace in recent NHL memory. A franchise that went from record-setting dominance to Eastern Conference basement dweller in just 2 seasons. Consider this stunning trajectory. 135 points and 65 wins in 2022-23, followed by a still impressive 109 points, then a catastrophic collapse to just 76 points and a -50 goal differential. That's not gradual decline. That's organizational freefall. The writing was on the wall when Boston traded away Captain Brad Marchand and core veterans Charlie Coyle, Brandon Carlo, and Trent Frederic. These moves signal a fundamental shift from contention to reconstruction, regardless of what management calls it publicly. Yes, Charlie McAvoy and Hampus Lindholm should return healthy, and Jeremy Swayman's contract situation is resolved. But the Bruins face a murderer's row in their own division, competing against the back-to-back champion Florida Panthers, the always dangerous Toronto Maple Leafs, and Tampa Bay Lightning, plus emerging threats in Ottawa and Detroit. And this is the part most people miss. Boston's recent success might have masked deeper organizational issues that are now impossible to ignore. Their prospect pipeline isn't robust enough to sustain contention, and their salary cap situation limits their ability to make significant improvements. The bottom line: who's really ready for redemption? The Rangers emerge as the clear favorite for a successful rebound, thanks to their combination of elite talent, improved leadership, and strategic roster additions. Vancouver possesses the skill but carries too much drama and uncertainty. Nashville's expensive experiment appears to be failing, while Boston seems committed to a longer rebuilding process. But here's the controversial truth that might upset some fan bases. None of these teams should expect to simply flip a switch and return to elite status. Last season's failures exposed fundamental weaknesses that can't be fixed overnight. What do you think? Are the Rangers being overrated because of their talented roster, or are they genuinely positioned for the best comeback? Should Vancouver be ranked higher given their recent division title, or does their dysfunction make them too risky to trust? And here's the real question that might spark debate. Which of these franchises do you think will actually disappoint again, despite all the off-season optimism? Share your predictions and tell us which team you think we've ranked too high or too low. Because in hockey, as we learned last season, anything can happen.